Hello, hello. Aloha, Anna. Just going to wait a few minutes for people to hop on. If you have any questions, I'm excited about today's topic because it's a little known strategy that people don't realize you can buy real estate just for a couple $1,000s. And I wish I would knew this when I first started. So we're going to be talking on how you can start going to these events and buying land at a discount. So we're going to be starting in a few minutes. If you have any questions about real estate, about wealth building, about tax auctions, put them in the chat about investing, and I can help answer them too while we go through this live. Let's see who's joining us here. Jarita, Oni, Matthew, Stephanie, DJ Vix. Yep. So we are doing a live and talking about little known strategy that you can purchase land at a discount. So we are waiting for people to hop on. Hey, Minnie, Stacy, Manny, Nancy, aloha. Siobhan, Yanak, Desi. Yeah, any questions about real estate, wealth building, investing? That's what I do. And I go live once a week on all platforms. So make sure you're following me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I share different things on each platform. So if there's something specific you're interested in, that's why I do these lives to kind of tie them all together. And quick heads up, if you are on Facebook or YouTube, I can't see everyone unless you comment. So please say hi or aloha, where you're from. And if you have any questions, type them in the chat as well. So again, for those who are just joining us, we're talking about how you can buy properties for a couple $1,000s, land mostly, and it's a strategy that not most people know about. So I'm here to educate you guys on a little bit about that strategy, how I've used it. I continue to use it in my real estate journey and just building wealth. And it's something that you can do too. Let's check some comments. Hold on. Let's see. Amber, do you have to be in person for these auctions? Typically, there are online auctions as well, and we're talking about property auctions. But I believe for majority of them, you have to be in person. So there are, again, depending what state you're in, and I'm not an expert, just a quick disclaimer, I'm just sharing my own experience, research, and how I've bought properties before. So if you do have specific questions about things that go on in your state, it's always best to do your own research. But we're just talking, sorry about this, because I don't think a lot of people know about this strategy. Stacy says investing, beauty by Ches. Is it only once a year they do these auctions? So with that, if you are in Hawaii, type where you're from, type Hawaii. I will majority of what I'll be talking about today is my experience at tax auctions in Hawaii that are coming up. And yes, majority of the islands, it's only one time a year that it happens. In other states, there's multiple property auctions that happen. Mahalo Nasud for all the hearts. Please like and share also this live with anybody else who would want to buy land for as little as $3,000, a couple $1,000. This is a strategy no matter where you're from. I'm in Hawaii, which is a really expensive state, but no matter where you're at, this is a strategy that you can use to buy your first property for only a couple $1,000s. So share this with someone who you know who has been maybe looking for homes, maybe wanting to invest in real estate, or wanting to buy their own land. I think this is very key. Fit by Kitty says, "Hi, is this a good time to buy?" They're in Honolulu. So yes, you also typing in where you're from after you answer a question will help me to answer it more specifically. Um, anytime is a good time to buy if you have the right strategy and if you're buying for a price that works for you. So even if you are buying $1 million home, but you have 0% interest, depending on whatever your payment is going to be, that could be a deal. If you're buying a $100,000 home at 50% interest, would that be a deal? So it all comes down to knowing your numbers, knowing what you can afford monthly, how much the home is going to be, how long the mortgage is going to be for, and then also just being realistic with where you're at, because there's other creative ways that you can buy homes that you don't need to go through the banks. So I talk about that on other lives as well. If you want to know more, you can ask those questions in the chat as well, and I can cover those too. Hi, Maria. Hey, Mike. Aloha, Manny Fresh. Lisa, Real Pales. Good morning, Talofa. Nancy Lee Aquino, wealth building. What does that mean? It is a broad topic. Hey, Nasudin from Michigan. Lots of hearts like it. Yes, like hearts, all this so that we can get more people on asking questions. Wealth building just means, it can mean something different to anybody, but for me, building your wealth means to be more financially steady, financial freedom. It means that you are acquiring assets or you are acquiring finances that will help generations to come, your kids, grandkids. You're building upon something. So even if you're working a job, you're 9 to 5, you still need to, and maybe you have your retirement account, which is a good step. You set up your retirement, you still need to be building on top of that. So whether that's opening a high yield savings account, making sure whatever money you do have in the bank is making more interest than 0% or 0.1 that the typical savings and checkings accounts may give you. Making sure that you're investing in your money into other assets like the stock market, like real estate. Maybe you're getting into private lending as well. So there's different streams of income that we need to consistently be building on in order to keep up with inflation, in order to be able to have the same style of living. Even if you don't want to cut down that much, if you want to keep the same style of living, but every day things get more expensive, that means your money has to still be growing along with that. So keeping up with inflation is going to be key here. When I talk about wealth building, that's mainly what I mean, is whatever you have, growing that, keeping on growing that and building upon that. Dante says aloha. Fit by Kitty, aloha from the Big Island. Stacy, she wants to buy land. Do you have to have cash? Okay, so we can dive into this now and then I'll answer more questions. Let me just see. Aloha, Anna. True Believers Only says, "Hi, where is the land located in Hawaii?" So we'll be going through that. Let me just pull up my notes here so we can kind of just shift into what most people don't realize exists. And that is in Hawaii, one of the most expensive states, and across the nation, there are these tax auctions that happen. And so I'll talk about what really, how properties can start off so low. And this is not a get rich quick scheme. This is not a gimmick. There is real government processes that happen every year. So I know a lot of people, especially if you're in an expensive market, always assume that real estate is expensive anywhere in that state. And I think it stops people from believing that it's even possible. Like, even if there's people on here that live in California or New York, you might think, oh man, we can't afford to live here. It's just the market is too crazy, houses are too expensive. But there are entry points that you can get into that most people never really think about. And so there's more than one path to buying a home, there's more than one path to investing in real estate, there's more than one path to building your wealth. And thank you to who asked that, Nancy Lee, because there's a lot of broad terminology that gets thrown around, and that's just so that people can understand, because there's a lot of specific terminology that we could go over, but it might go over people's heads. So with that, I'm just here to kind of show you guys what I have learned in more simpler terms so that you can start to think about this in your own lives and in your own goals, and how, if this is something you want to pursue, how you can make it happen for you. So, what is a tax auction? So, I just want to break that down. So, the title of this, of what we'll be talking about, is $3,000 for land, Hawaii tax auctions. Now, if you're anywhere else in any other states, this could apply to you as well. And there probably are lower price points you can get into at these tax auctions. But I'll go over the basics. Is tax auctions happen when property owners or people that own homes don't pay their property tax. So the county usually auctions off these properties to recover the unpaid taxes. And the starting bids can be extremely low. And it's a structured legal process. So they, a lot of times when you go to these tax auctions, even the ones here in Hawaii are held at stadiums or gyms. It might not be in an official courthouse, but representatives from the state or the county will be there to make sure this legal proceeding is as happens, so that whoever takes over or whoever wins the bid can go through the tax process in a legal process. So it might seem a little bit more informal, but it still is a legal process. So it's not a loophole where you can buy these properties in an informal way. So I just wanted to put that out there. And this is public information that not a lot of people take advantage of because they don't know the process, they don't know how it works. There are risks in every type of investment, but I think when people are, they just think of the typical, I got to buy a home through a realtor. Like, even for me growing up, I never knew anything else until a decade ago. So has anybody ever heard of tax auctions before today? If you can type in the chat just so that I know. Frank the Tank. Sasha, how are you? I'm good. Hey, Frank. Still investing, still inspiring, still kind of sharing what I'm learning along the way. Mama Maui Bear says, I went to an auction in Kihei. Tax lien was 25,000, but was bought by a group of people for $1 million. Yes, I probably was there too. So that does happen. A lot of times there are professionals who have been doing this for years that go to these tax auctions with lots of cash and buy up properties, but there still is opportunities in different areas. So this is what I want you to be thinking about now. Maybe in the area that you live in currently, or the city that you're in, maybe there's not much opportunities, but maybe nearby cities, nearby islands, which we'll get into, have way more opportunities. I'm talking about, so Mama Maui Bear said, yeah, they bought 3 properties. So the auctions that I typically go to on the main islands and the main cities, for those who don't live here, in any main city that's super desirable, there's going to be one, more competition, but two, probably less properties because they're very valuable. When you go to any sort of cities outside of these main areas, it's going to be a cheaper market in general. And then on top of that, you add on these tax auctions where you could potentially get in even lower prices. That is where the opportunity lies. So I want you guys to start thinking a little bit outside the box. And let's see. So to get back to some of these questions, Dante said, do you have to have cash? Yes. So typically at a lot of these auctions, you have to have cash brought to the table. So there is no, oh, can I put a deposit? Can I put 10% down? No. At a lot of these property tax auctions, you have to come with cash. So what people do, and I think like one of the ladies on here said as well, was people team up. Some investors come in, there's some larger corporations that come in too with all this money. So, but there are still opportunities out there that they haven't caught on to. And so I know a lot of people don't even go to these because they think like, oh, it's too complicated. They don't want to make mistakes. Maybe you don't feel ready because you don't understand the process. But that's why this opportunity matters right now. And I do cover this a lot on our YouTube channel, on my Facebook as well, and Instagram. So if you're not following me on there, go back, make sure you follow Invest with Zasha. And I showcase in real time kind of where we go, what we do, how these tax auctions work. So you can get a little bit of background, especially on YouTube. We share a lot of that. And Candy, oh yeah, sorry. I just got distracted. This is super distracting sometimes looking at all these comments, but I'm glad that you guys are all joining. Please share this with someone who is looking for land. Maybe they're looking for property at a discount. If they're in Hawaii, please share this live with them because they will get value by even thinking about this strategy. We have 24/7 with Nadi's in Hawaii, Beauty by Shells in Hawaii, Nancy's in Guam, Dante's Eva Beach, Wahiwa is on Oahu, Nicole in Kauai, Real Pales is in Hawaii. Awesome. Yes, a lot of people joining in. Thank you guys. Fit by Kitty has never heard of tax auctions. So Dante says, have heard of it, but a little confused on the process. Nancy said, yes, but not clear how it works. I was told that the owners can reclaim. Yes. So Nancy, I'm not too sure how it works in Guam, but there are different auctions that happen. So there's tax deed auctions, and then there's tax lien auctions as well. So those are 2 different types of property tax auctions that happen depending on your state. So, but as far as like other countries, I don't know how they work. But in Hawaii, it's a tax deed auction state. So that means that even if you win the highest bid at the auction, the owner has a 1-year redemption period where they can pay off the taxes, pay off your however much you bid plus interest. So even if you bid, you still make interest on that money, even if the owner comes back and pays off the property tax. So you still win in the end. I think the key here is knowing how to run your numbers, knowing, okay, what should my highest bid be? Because at the same time, you still want to be getting a deal. You don't want to just win a piece of land and overpay. So we never want to overpay. We want to get a deal. And some key points to point out is that preparing for these auctions is the best thing that you can do for yourself. And specifically in Hawaii, the first tax auction on one of the islands is coming up this year in a couple weeks. So you want to make sure that you are ready for it, you're prepared, and you know what you're doing. Because you could buy something that has liens on it, has other costs to it as well. So I cover a lot more of this in our masterclass happening next week. So if you want that link, I will put it in the chat, but also you can message me below, send me a message masterclass, and I will send you that link as well if you don't see it on in these chats. And we cover how to find these properties, how to evaluate them, understand the bidding process, what to avoid, mistakes that have cost people a lot, and we share how we break this down, the numbers, the parcels, everything, how to look it up in the masterclass. So if you're in Hawaii, we're going to be hosting it on April 28th at 12 p.m. HST. You can go to huimastermind.com as well, HUI mastermind.com, and we'll share the link to register. I think we're can only do 100 seats. So make sure you guys go on there and register as well. That's our website, huimastermind.com. But I'm going to answer a few more questions. Stacy said, if you have any questions, make sure you put it in the chat. I'm interested in learning. Charlie, are you from Hawaii? Okay, we have a lot of questions. Okay. Mimi says she's never heard of tax auctions. Let's see. So for those people in Hawaii, one of the questions was, where's a land located in Hawaii? So there's multiple, on all islands, there's tax auctions that happen here. So, and we'll be sharing that on the masterclass, kind of where you have the most opportunity to purchase at lower prices. Is a land trust different than regular trust? Yes, a land trust is different than a regular trust. Now, the differences between those two, you can ask an attorney, chat GPT, and kind of find out more about that. I am not, and this is another disclaimer, I'm not giving legal advice, financial advice, or anything like that. I'm not licensed in any of those areas. I just know what I have done, what I've heard, what our students have done, and what's worked for them as well, and other people that have built wealth. True Believer said home auctions, but not tax auctions. So this is a property tax auction. So a lot of times there are homes that get auctioned off as well that are on the land because it's getting auctioned off because they didn't pay the property taxes. So most of the time there's opportunities where there's homes on the property. Our tax auctions usually held after the tax season. So across the U.S., True Believer, are you in Hawaii? I think that would help me kind of answer your questions. Across the U.S., there's tax auctions that happen, I believe, every single day. But in Hawaii specifically, most islands only happen once a year. How do you estimate the price? So estimating the price, so with estimating the price, you have to know, okay, what is that current property worth? So an easy way to do this, and this is a like quick tip, is you can go on Zillow and you can see what homes have sold for in that area or what properties have sold for in that area in the last 3 months. If there's none that sold in the last 3 months, you can go to the last 6 months. But that usually means it's a less desirable area, or maybe there's this like not a lot of inventory in that area either. It might be highly desirable that nobody wants to sell. So these are just some factors that you want to take into consideration before you're buying in those areas. Okay, thanks, true believers. Okay, Stacy said yes. They said that the owner can call you to the court to reclaim. Yeah. So, hey Lisa, Miss Fitzstrong says so. Shouldn't remodel until they reclaim period has passed. Yes. So if you are buying in a tax deed state that has a redemption period, then which means the owner has so much time in Hawaii, it's 1 year, has so much time to be able to pay off the property taxes and get the land or get the property, the house back, then I wouldn't touch it until it actually uh, gets transferred to your name. Because if they pay it off, then all the remodeling you did, they they're not going to pay you for that. They're just going to take back the house. So, like with any transaction, even in a regular home transaction, when you're buying something on the MLS or with a realtor, you're not going to want to start to you're not going to want to start to make renovations or do anything to the property until you become the legal owner. So that's a great question, though. Fit by Kitty Masterclass. Okay, again, huimastermind.com, HUImastermind.com. If you guys want to attend the free masterclass happening where we dive deeper into tax auctions in Hawaii. So this is only meant for people in Hawaii as far as the masterclass goes. But you can attend and learn some new things and apply it to wherever you're from as well. Because the preparation is definitely where you gain the confidence to know that you're buying a deal. But there's properties listed. I'm telling you, this is a strategy I wish I would have known a long, long time ago. So C10 Ramirez says 3K to buy land. Yes. So you can buy properties. A lot of times it's land starting for a couple $1,000s. And they're like actually on the list, starting bids at that amount. Now, in other states, it might start off a lot lower and you might be able to purchase these properties. And a lot of times, and again, this is not legal advice. I would highly suggest that you run a title report before bidding on any of these properties. But a lot of times that might be the only lien against the property. So there might not be a mortgage, there might not be an IRS lien, but there may be. So those are things that you have to check to see if you win these bids, if those liens will get wiped off as well. So those are some specifics that you need to know before you just go and start bidding at these auctions. Some people just do it, but you're taking a lot more risk doing it that way. Hey, Summers. Money Talk with Trina. Real Pal said, interesting in learning and invest, buy some land. Yes. Let's all build wealth. Let's all talk about it. I think it's the number one takeaway I want you guys all to get is that you can do this. You can get into homes for less than what you see that's listed on the MLS, listed with the realtor. There's always whatever listing price too that they put out. If you feel more comfortable buying homes that way or buying land that way, that's fine. Just because they list something at a certain price doesn't mean you need to purchase it at that price. You can also offer lower. There's creative options like seller financing. Maybe you could come in with an offer with that too at an interest rate that works for you. So nothing is set in stone. I think a lot of times we go through life thinking like, okay, this is set in stone. This seller wants this amount. So that's what I have to qualify for, and I don't. But there's other ways you can buy properties without a bank. And this tax auctions is one of them. Miss Fitstrong says, mahalo. Thank you. Tani, Stevie, Mama Bear. Can I contact the owner prior to the auction? Yes, you can contact them. You can go drive past the property if they're living there. If not, try to get their mailing address. Charlie is a Hawaiian entrepreneur looking to learn more about wealth. Perfect, Charlie. We want you to, we're here to educate. So go to Hui mastermind.com and come to our free masterclass where we dive deeper into this little known strategy. So this is just to start getting you guys to think outside the box, start getting you to ask more questions. You know, like I said, finances was not talked about, especially when we were younger, a lot. And people were more, I wouldn't say afraid, but in Hawaii, especially, we're taught to be humble. You don't talk about money. You don't talk about how much you make. You don't talk about investments and things like that because you don't want anybody else to feel like, yeah, is this class on Oahu? It's a private. Um, yeah, so it's a virtual masterclass, like online. So you can attend from whatever island you're on. Yeah, so everybody was always taught to like keep their private life private. Well, now with social media, we share everything, right? We share a lot of things. I don't share everything personal, but we share what we're doing, what's working for us. Like, I think the mentality has come back around to everybody being more open and sharing more because they want to see other people succeed. Or that's what I'm doing. That's why I do this. And I want to show people like, hey, I wish I would have learned this earlier. If you can take this and run with it or learn it however you want, like, blessings to you. I want you guys to be building wealth. I want you to just be thinking a little bit differently because a lot of times too, we're in the same circles. We have the same routine. So there's nothing really challenging us to think about these different things that maybe people in our circle don't talk about because they don't do it. So I want you guys to be thinking outside the box creatively and more so, how can I do this instead of like, okay, that I can't do this because of this and this and that. So that is also just a mindset thing, right? Is just knowing that there's opportunities out there to buy land at a couple $1,000s wherever you're at. I'm in Hawaii. There's still that opportunity. So wherever you are at, there are opportunities, but you just have to hop on lives like this, get some new creative ideas, start doing your research on your own. Google, ChatGPT, Claude now, Claude work, coworker, whatever it's called that everybody's talking about. All these things that you see, just focus on one way that you can build your wealth. And again, thanks to, I think it was Stacy who asked, like, what does that mean? And building wealth just means taking what you have and growing it financially, asset wise, even your mindset, your health, all of it helps you to become wealthier. So, with that, if this did help you in any sort of way, please hit the like button or the heart button or whatever the buttons are, and share this live, especially as we close. Share this recording with someone who thinks real estate is out of reach because we want to inspire more people to sometimes just get out of their own head. And a lot of times it takes just hearing it from someone different. I'm just an average, regular person. I'm nobody really super special. I didn't grow up with finances. I didn't grow up with money. I was raised by a single mom. I became a single mom at 20. I got pregnant at 19. And now I'm a multimillionaire through real estate because I decided I wanted a change. I decided after I turned 30 that this can't be everything that I'm living for right now because it wasn't fulfilling my purpose. And that's what got me to pivot, got me surrounded by people that were building wealth, that were still younger, and that were, quote unquote, could retire. I could retire right now. I could stop what I'm doing, and my assets, my uh, cash flow, my income, all of that would pay for my lifestyle. But for me, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So I love to build things. I like to create new companies. I like to explore new ideas, and I like to help people. So that's what keeps me going. So thank you guys for hopping on this live. Max, Jeanette, Erica, Janelle, Ashley. Thank you guys for hopping on. I hope that you guys have success, and make sure if you're in Hawaii to attend our free masterclass, huimastermind.com, huimastermind.com. And we are going to help you get your next property if you're ready for just a couple $1,000s. We're here to share the information and help you build wealth. Hui ho.